Hello everyone, welcome back. We're actually in part 3 of this video, so we're glad you could join us again. I'm here with my special guest, Enoch Johnson. We are talking about aliens, giants, Hollywood, the music industry, and God. So we're back again. Enoch, man, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Doing pretty good.
I always enjoy coming out here. It's lovely. Nice weather, not too bad. Good overcast.
Yeah, I know. It's really nice. We've had a lot of rain.
Yeah.
It's been freaking nuts. Still got some little bugs out here, ants everywhere, but you know, it's nature for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're back for part 3, and we're going to dive a little bit more into the spiritual side of things. We've been kind of talking about what's on the surface a little bit. I want to start it off actually with a verse from the good book, Proverbs 29:2. It says, "When the righteous rule, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people mourn." And so what I want to say is, I think we're seeing a little bit of what is unseen is starting to bleed into the natural world a little bit. With the way our culture's been going, kind of the center of morality is kind of like decreased. What used to be seen as like vile or detestable or something that was actually bad, like something that people would look at you and go, why does that person do that? You know, that's not a good thing to do. It's detrimental. In our culture today, I feel like some of that stuff's like more widely accepted now. So I think we see in what we're actually seeing as the spiritual world bleeding into our natural world. What do you think about that? You think that's the case?
Yep, 100%. And it's getting to the point where it's not able to hide, you know.
Right.
We're just more aware of things now, I think, because of the internet and
right,
everything like that. We're more exposed to what's going on, not just where we are in our circle, but all over the world. And yeah, it's starting to be undeniable. So much evidence of things, even with like archaeologists finding stuff. They found the ark. They found the chariots underneath the water where they drowned the Egyptians. They found a bunch of stuff. The stones, 13 stones lined up, huge stones. Bunch of stuff. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like the more they keep digging, the more they find. You know, to say, hey, maybe the good book is right. You know, maybe it is right. Maybe it's wrong. You know, maybe what we believe today, maybe we're just way off base. But it seems to be that, like, you know, that stuff that happened, you know, especially in the Old Testament, people that they say didn't exist, well, now there's stuff coming out to say they do exist. You know, that they did exist. You know, it's like, okay, so like you said, the chariots. Okay, that actually did happen. There was some chariots there. You know, the shawl of Jesus. Okay, they did find his shawl. You know, which is interesting about that they found that the actual blood on his shawl was still living, like the cells were still moving, and the scientists, they can't figure it out. They're baffled, like, how's this possible? How are these cells still, you know, alive? It's like, well, he is the living word, you know. So I do agree. It's getting undeniable, the world that we live in today. We see things in our culture, like you're saying, cameras are everywhere, video cameras are everywhere. There's really nowhere to hide. It's almost like getting to the point where you try to do something in secret, there's probably a camera somewhere seeing you somewhere. If not a camera, there's probably a satellite looking at you somewhere. So it's getting to the point where it's like getting harder and harder to hide things, you know.
Right.
I think that was the purpose, you know, so that, you know, the gospel could reach the ends of the earth. You know, maybe that's part of it. So some examples of what we've seen, like especially Hollywood and the music industry and the entertainment industry, we see, you know, videos of where people, eyes are changing shape, you know, and they're shape shifting, and people would say, well, no, it's probably something going on with the camera, but clearly you can tell, like, if you look in the background, nothing's changing, just one thing, their eyes will change shape. I'm not saying that they're a lizard person, but I'm saying something's going on. And people's faces are distorting when in concerts and changing to like literally contorting.
Mhm.
I know in one of Beyonce's concerts, her face literally contorts like that, and her face changes. But they're saying, oh, it's just the way the camera moves. It's just an angle, and there's always going to be an excuse because people that think only by logic are always going to be like, well, that's because of this. But those with like spiritual eyes can see, no, there's something else going on here. Even if you're not a believer, when you are in the spirit realm, you see that there's another world here. You just might be on the other side of it.
Yeah, you'd be pretty hard pressed to say that we're just atoms just floating around.
Right.
Like there's got to be something more. Even like with the heightening of alien sightings and stuff going on, a lot of people seeing giant beings in their backyard. Like that's starting to happen more and more now. More people saying that they've seen Bigfoot, and I think it's all just spiritual, like you're saying. It's the spirit realm leaking in.
Yeah, I saw an article, which I'm glad we got to do this again, because I saw an article. It was an article, and it was a video too talking about it, where these scientists are doing this research on these aliens, and like these leading experts in the field are all saying, these leading experts in the field, with like alientology and all that stuff, are saying that the beings that they're seeing and stuff like that, the research they're doing, all the research points that these beings did not come from space, that they're interdimensional beings, meaning they were already here, coming from like another dimension. And then a lot of them are getting to the place that maybe they are demons, maybe it could be. But a lot of the research is pointing that there's no spacecraft, nothing's coming from outer space. These beings that they're seeing, or you hear about these meetings that they're having with aliens and stuff like that. They say these beings are just coming out of like portals and stuff like that. They're coming out of nowhere, just appearing, and there's no one coming from the sky and landing down. They say you'll see like the flying saucers and stuff and going through the sky, different things going through the sky, but you're never seeing anything come from outer space to the planet. It's always they're like right here with us the whole time. And someone say, well, they're cloaking, but all these scientists are saying we have no evidence that they're, or astronomers, scientists saying that they're coming from like outer space. Right. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it's got to be, for me, it's got to be spiritual.
Yeah.
It's got to be. If not demons, there's lots of different types of angels the Bible talks about, different things that aren't human that the Bible talks about. Yeah, it's got to be just more people paying attention, and we're more able to know what's going on other places.
Yeah.
So that's why it seems like it's ramping up, but it's probably been there for a long time. We just didn't have access to it. Now we have access to it.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I agree 100%. I mean, there's always a sliver of, you have this, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm way off base, but just the fact that me and you have done a lot of research and watched a lot of videos, and we've seen stuff to where we're like, something's going on, something's behind the scenes, especially all this alien talk, And I know we got a little off base because of talking about Hollywood stuff, but that's why I labeled the video what I labeled it, so we could kind of dive into different topics. Because I think you're seeing it in the culture. Is Beyonce a lizard demon? I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's a little far fetched.
It's a little far fetched. Are they all sacrificing kids? That might be more of a reality. Not that there's definitely something going on with kids being sacrificed in these rituals. And
I think it's funny that people can believe that she might not be human versus she's just being affected by a spirit. How that can be more believable. That's kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Because they call us crazy because we believe in spiritual, but they believe in monsters and creatures from from who knows where.
Right, and we make movies about it, monsters and creatures, and people. It's science fiction. I'm just like, but like, why are the movies and the stuff getting even darker? And there's more like rituals being done, and why is that kind of stuff? And people can talk about ghosts. and they can believe in ghosts. And I'm like, so you can believe in your dead grandma coming back and walking around your house, but you can't believe that maybe you can't believe that your favorite artist is, being influenced or may not be human, and at that level, wouldn't you think at that level that if there are beings, spiritual beings posing as humans, shape shifting, wouldn't you think that they could at that level? Wouldn't you think that would be the level that they want to be at to influence, get the most influence?
Yep.
Yeah,
100%. And another thing, why would they cover it? You see stuff that's almost undeniable, and then it gets deleted.
Right.
Why is that consistent?
Right.
That always happens. They always say, "Oh, it's just whatever, blase," and then you don't see it anymore. Why do y'all keep?
Why cover it up?
Yeah, if it's not real.
Why try to hide it? If it's not real, then what do you care? What do you care if it's not? Well, we got to speak truth. And I'm like, but I mean, there's people believe all kinds of weird, strange stuff. Why this? Right. Why this one particular thing? Why do you got to shut it down?
Yep.
So obviously there is an agenda. There is something going on behind the scenes. I mean, we just in our experience of trying to do these videos, we have run into, it has taken us nearly like 2 months in order to do this one video, because we've had so many things happen. We've had videos just be deleted. We've transferred videos, they would be gone. We've had mechanical malfunctions. We've had, just today, we had Enoch's chair bite the dust, and that chair is my mom said that chair holds 300 pounds or something like that. And it just, all of a sudden, just decides it's going to break. And it's people say, oh, that's just coincidence. And I was like, yeah, but it should be easy to record some videos, Right. So I think that there's a hidden realm going on. There's things going on behind the scenes, and maybe we're kind of waking up to it. I think a lot more people are waking up to it. They may not say, "Oh, these are demons. God of the Bible is real," but they're saying something's up. Like, why are they talking about? Why would the government come out and say aliens are? We've been talking with aliens. They've existed for a long time. Why would they come out and even say those statements? I mean, 20 years ago, they'd be like, don't listen, he's a wacko. We're not going to let him talk in front of the camera anymore. Now they're talking about it like, oh, this is what's going on. Right. Of course, people now are like, I got to pay my bills, man. I don't really care about ET flying around Las Vegas and gambling. I don't care about that. I'm trying to pay my bills, Yep. So I just think it's very interesting. And like we say in all these videos, these are all just opinions. These are speculations. This is our viewpoint.
Theories.
They're theories. But we do believe a lot of it to be true. And even if 60% of it's true, we're onto something. We're chasing a rabbit that one day is going to be caught. So, you see these TV personalities will just short circuit. You'll see things go wrong with them. They'll just stare into the cameras like they've frozen, like they're almost having like a seizure or something's going on. You'll see all these different things happen, and we've talked about the shape shifting. I also this makes me think about Skinwalker Ranch, and I know there's a show on, I believe, the History Channel that talks about Skinwalker Ranch. You ever heard of Skinwalker Ranch? Mm-mm. So it's this place where all these supernatural phenomenon are going on, and there's a guy. It's passed hands over the years, and there's been crazy things like, a family that was out there seeing a wolf, that he shot it with all these guns, and it would blow chunks off of it, and the wolf would just look at him and just keep walking around. It couldn't kill it, and the wolf was huge. The wolf was almost as tall as we were. It was this gigantic wolf, and then we're going to the woods, and you would see orbs flying around, shooting lasers at them, different crazy stuff, and then the orbs are going to the woods, and this mysterious black creature that's breaking trees would all of a sudden appear in the woods and run into the woods, and you'd see all these like flying saucer things going around, all this supernatural stuff going on, cows being mutilated and cut to pieces to where the cuts are so precise. How could that even happen? Right. You see all these things, going on. And so this guy, he bought the property, and he wanted to do research out there. Well, he does research, and he said, I don't want this to be a laughing stock. I want us to actually do research and find actual proof and data something's going on out here. And so he'll start recording and start doing things, and every time they try to find something, they see a light or an orb, or they see something, or they see this creature like on the edge, or something crazy happens. Every time they see that and try to record, it's like their camera fails, and so all these things would start happening, and their camera would give out, and all of a sudden, or the GPS, they try to set up a GPS, and the GPS would like set up show that they're like 20 feet underground, and these guys are like, this machine does, the chance of it like shutting down is minimal. Right. So every time they try, the camera won't focus. They'll set up they set up like 3 or 4 cameras, and when they set up the cameras wouldn't record. They couldn't get them to record. They had drones flying in the sky to try to find out what was going on, and the drones would start malfunctioning. So it's one of those places at Skinwalker Ranch where all this stuff is going on. So diving back into some spiritual stuff, what was really interesting that I saw was, and you have to tell me what your perspective on it is too, is Elon Musk, and the fact that he had an experience with his nanny where him and his nanny are in his room, I believe it was, and she said that they're sitting there, and you talked to her today about it, and she describes it, the experience like it actually happened. And I think people ask her, she said, oh, it happened. I mean, people don't believe me, they think I'm crazy.
Right.
She said like literally like a portal opens up, and then the portal opens up, and all of a sudden she said they were like pulled into this portal, and they were in like this area where it was this darkness, and these she said they were there, and they could feel like things, she could feel stuff watching her, and she said all of a sudden she could see these beings coming towards her, and these beings were like, they just looked grotesque, and they were just crazy looking, like she just describing them, and she could feel that the beings wanted to hurt her. And while all this is happening, she said Elon's just sitting there, and he's just like, these are my friends, and she could feel like the intentions, like she could almost hear them talking, they want to eat you, like devour you. She felt like she could like feel that they wanted to kill her. And she said Elon's just sitting there watching, and she said all I knew is she's like, I just knew I had to call upon the name of the Lord. She said I started praying, and then when I did, like all of a sudden they fly back, and then all of a sudden I grab his hand, I start floating up in the air, and I grab his hand, and next thing I know, we're out of the portal, and then we're sitting back in the room again. Now people can be like, that woman's crazy, or you can think the other side of it, that maybe it is true.
Could be some truth to it. Could have been a vision.
Yeah.
Could have been anything, But yeah, I heard something about that. I also heard somebody in his family saying that he could be the one to introduce the Antichrist or something like that. Have you heard about that?
I think so. Yeah, like he isn't crazy. It, but he could be the one.
Yeah. So there might be. I mean, he's a man with a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of power right now. So who knows? Who knows where the truth lies in there?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people believe, like, you hear people saying, well, Obama's the Antichrist, or Trump's the Antichrist, or
now President Biden's the Antichrist.
Biden's the Antichrist. We're gonna know real quick if he's it, because the way he can barely get a couple of sentences together. So we're gonna know really quick if it's him, because if he's all of a sudden intelligent and starts walking around, you're like, yeah, there's something. Yeah, Biden's not home anymore. Biden's gone. So yeah, so you think it might that something like him, that could be ushering someone like the Antichrist in. That's a very interesting thing to say. Do you think a lot of that stuff is going on behind the scenes in Hollywood, like the Nanny described, but maybe these celebrities are seeing it, or these people of influences? Do you think that it's happening, first of all, and also do you think that why do you think that more people aren't exposing it if it is happening?
I think it's definitely possible. I don't know for sure, but as far as people not talking about it, I mean, just like they reacted to the nanny, they're gonna think they're crazy. They're not gonna believe it. But eventually, I think people are growing more desensitized towards that kind of thing, where it's not a shock anymore. Like, oh, she's talking to demons or whatever. Where now, like, you got artists dressing up like demons and saying they talk to spirits and stuff all the time. Ouija boards are like popular for some reason, like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's not. I don't think it's going to be as far fetched in the future. Who knows how far in the future, but
You think some of them they're interested in it because maybe they have relatives that have passed away. They want to reach out to them through the Ouija boards. They want to connect with them.
yeah,
And they reach out to them, and then they reach out in the atmosphere, and they find out that spiritual atmosphere, that there's more things out there than just maybe their dead grandma.
right.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know that you can actually reach your dead grandma,
Right.
but you definitely are probably conjuring up something that wants to take advantage of you
Yeah.
because you're ignorant to the spiritual world. But if you're a Christian and you read your Bible, you know that you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
Like, who was it went to a psychic?
What was Sam? No. Well, Samuel was the prophet. It was trying to remember his name. It was the king, Saul.
Saul, trying to talk to Isaac or somebody like that.
One of I
Yeah.
couldn't remember who exactly he was trying to talk to.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Abraham.
Yeah, but and the psychic
Or maybe he
like,
was trying to talk to Samuel. That's what he was
I
trying to
think
do.
that's
Yeah.
what it was. Yeah, and the psychic was even like, "Why are you here talking to me? Like,
Right.
aren't you a man of God or something like that?"
Yeah.
And yeah, he quickly realized that it wasn't what he thought it was, and just like these people that are messing with the stuff now, with all the Ouija boards and everything now, you know, you're gonna find out the hard way that it's not what you think it is.
Right.
It's a lot of evil and darkness attached to it.
What is it called? Familiar spirits?
Yeah,
Yeah.
familiar
They call them
spirits.
familiars. That's what reminds me of it. They're familiar. Well, why do they call them familiar spirits? Because they're trying to be familiar. You know, they're trying to, connect, trying to be like someone.
Right.
Like look like a podcast I'm listening to, that these things, especially like Skinwalker Ranch, they say that they'll morph into different things. That's what they believe. They're morphing into all these different objects, but if you notice that the beings are just, this is what they were saying, they're just slightly ahead of our technology, slightly ahead of everything, to where like we could get to that place, but it's like they're following our progression of intelligence, but and the things they share are maybe just slightly ahead of, we want to enlighten you about this. It's nothing that's so far-fetched that our minds can't possibly, wrap around it. It's, things that are slightly
Right.
ahead of us, And
Yeah,
so,
like just like Satan, he tries to mock and copycat everything God does. I'm sure the demons are the same way. They try to mock and copycat God's creation.
right.
So
And they have
makes
this hidden
sense.
knowledge,
yeah,
hidden knowledge,
just like in the garden, the serpent had the hidden knowledge.
he had the angle on it,
Don't you want to be like God? Eat this fruit.
Yeah, eat it and you'll be like him,
It's the same thing. The Ouija board is the fruit.
We feel like we don't know, so we have to find out. But my thing is, if a being has been around for thousands of years, he's going to know stuff.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they're going to know. I've seen this a lot of times. Like someone would say, well, this place I went to, the medium or the person told me that these things would happen, and they happen. Well, it's almost like, well, if they've been around for thousands of years and you've seen the pattern of things and how they happen, they can almost guess like, oh, it's probably going to happen this way, because they know how things happen. And if it's a spiritual thing and they're able to travel at, I don't think they're omnipresent, but they're able to travel at incredible speeds to get to places, then if it's a spiritual thing, they're going to know things that you don't know. They're going to know about family members. They're going to know about other people. And that's the way I look at it. They're going to know things you're not knowing, because they can be these places really fast. They can communicate with each other in the spiritual realm. Now, if this is pretty far-fetched to you, like the stuff we're diving into, if you actually, get into the good book and actually look into some of it, that's not really that far-fetched, It's not that, the idea is not really that wild. It kind of makes sense, So, yeah, diving into it, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. There's a world out there that we can't see. It says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and wickedness in high places. So if there was a devil, we believe there is an enemy. What would be his ultimate goal? First of all, separate us from a creator. That was done. So he did that, and the creator had to find a way for us back. And the second thing he would do was try to put us at odds with each other, whether that's through racism, whether that's through, different viewpoint, different religions, different ways of viewing it, things. It doesn't matter the vehicle. But if he can keep us where we're not in any unity and keep division between us, we can't really find out what the truth is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true.
Yep. So going even deeper into it, we dived into the spiritual realm a little bit. And I challenge a lot of y'all out there watching this video to just challenge your thinking, Maybe you're thinking, what are these guys talking about? Maybe you're like, but really, the way I think of it, and once you see things that you can't say, I can't explain it, but also that you can't get rid of it because you've seen it and you've had the experience. Experience always triumphs logic. It always triumphs logic, because when you have an experience with something, your logical mind sometimes tells you that I can't wrap my mind around this. Kind of like truth and fact are different. We believe the word is truth, but there's a lot of facts out there. So you can say, well, that's the facts. These are the facts of the evidence, but the truth says something else. The spiritual world may say something completely different. And a lot of evidence is just perspective. It's just, this is evidence. This is to be true. Well, that's actually just an opinion, But when you start searching out real truth stands the test of time, And so I think, like, stuff that we're talking about, it's not like it's foreign. It's stuff that you can actually do some research and look and say, hey, there is something going on. Now, you may not believe the Bible, but there is something going on behind the scenes. So we're going to change direction a little bit, dive into, kind of where my heart has been the last few years. And I've worked in the field. I used to work with kids. I do work with kids again, actually, but with teenagers and young adults. And what I wanted to talk a little bit about, something that's just it saddens my heart. And I wanted to ask you, first of all, Enoch, what do you think about this Hollywood pedophile ring that they have going on? What do you think about all that?
I mean,
first of all, is it even there,
Right. I definitely believe in the possibility. There's too much consistency in witnesses or people that are talking about it. Like it's always somewhere far off, like in the woods or in some place hidden in the mountains or on an island. You got Epstein Island and everything. So I definitely believe in the possibility. It's sickening for sure. Who knows what they're taking advantage of these kids, what they're doing. Yeah, it's sickening, sad, disturbing, all the above.
You think people get involved in that stuff and they probably are shocked, but the more and more they do it, they just kind of get,
Yeah, it's probably another forbidden fruit, something you have to grow a taste for. Probably they've probably been taken advantage of, just like any kind of mental illness type thing, like you like killing people or you like, whatever, rape, list goes on. Evil, you like evil. It's probably because you've been abused or taken advantage of.
Trauma's gone on. Yep.
The trauma just keeps going. It's just a cycle.
Yeah. The word I was looking for was calloused. You become callous to
callous
it.
heart. Yeah.
Calloused heart. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to find that word, and that's the word of callous. And we talked briefly about some people that we think that have done that stuff and gotten out of it. I feel that in some ways it seems like there's so many. You can see it like kind of like the spiritual word leaks through. You can see that this is leaking through in the culture. Do you think it leaks through because there's just so much of it going on that's why it starts to leak through a little bit, and people start to be like, "What's going on with that? Why? Wait a minute. What do you mean he got busted for this?"
Yep, that's probably what it is. It's probably a giant chain of blackmail, and you can't talk to so and so about this because they might tell so and so. But yeah, everything done in the dark is gonna come to the light. So
Yeah,
if they're out there doing it, that's why we're hearing more and more about it, because it can't be hidden forever.
right. Truth
And
always finds a way.
especially now, like what I was saying, with all the access to social media and everything, cameras everywhere. Eventually it's all going to come out.
Yeah,
Won't be able to deny it.
and maybe they know it will eventually, but as long as they can, while they're alive or while they're doing what they need to do, or until they get to the place where they can't be touched by, people that they know, hey, it's okay until it gets to a certain point. But I also feel like, or they can get somewhere where if they do get caught, they're not anywhere in the country and they're gone. And they can live their life peacefully, if kind of push that to the side. But I always kind of believe that stuff eats at you after a while in your conscience and gets at you. It's kind of like, I hate to use the guy's name, but it's kind of the O.J. Simpson effect. We all kind of know, can't say 100%, but with O.J., probably did it. There's a lot of evidence pointing towards it. But it's kind of like the fact that later on he robs someone, and does something else to where he gets caught and tried for a crime and spends years in jail. It's almost like that was there the whole time, and he just like it finally bled out into something else, Oh, I got away with it. I can get away with this, And well, you had really good lawyers, OJ, and they used the law to their advantage, and that's how you got away with, whether he was all the way involved or a little bit involved, he was in it somewhere. And but yeah, I think it's like that a little bit. I think people eventually it gets revealed.
Yep, you got all these child stars that grew up in Hollywood coming out now, and they got the Nickelodeon special. People exposing some of the stuff Dan Schneider did, and that's probably, it's terrible, but it's probably a mild version versus, like what's actually happening. And even like I read an article that Jaden Smith spoke up about him being forced to spend time with Diddy and all this kind of stuff, and he's crying in the middle of nowhere, like breaking down. Justin Bieber, they got the picture of Justin Bieber breaking down, like a bunch of stuff. Somebody's going to talk eventually because they can't take it anymore.
So you think people are just doing this?
Right.
It's not really going on,
Right.
or that I can't do anything about that. I'll just ignore it.
Right.
Or if I get involved, I'm ruined. It's going to ruin me.
Yep, because they probably, like I said, it's probably a giant blackmail chain. They're gonna punish you or whatever it is.
We'll ruin you.
We'll ruin you.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll find your family. We'll ruin your legacy. Type stuff. Yeah.
And certain individuals, they go, okay, do what you got to do.
Yeah. And they're the ones that are like, okay, they usually disappear.
Yeah. It's almost like if you don't want to disappear, you need to be high profile.
Right.
If you're a high profile individual, then you might not disappear, but you might not be able to get a job anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have a lot of money to protect yourself,
Or they'll rough you up and make you comply.
or you commit a crime that all of a sudden appears out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, crazy. Well, I feel sad for the kids, because they're just, they're being trafficked. Kids, I think I might talk about an earlier video, but all those CPS kids just disappeared. thousands and thousands of kids. Where are they gone? The lady can't tell you. And the guy's like, what do you mean you can't tell us? And it's like, we don't know where they are. It's like, how do you not know where thousands and thousands of kids are?
Right.
Like, they were here and now they're gone. They were in these vehicles and now they're gone. What do you mean you don't know where they are? You know, they were in your custody. What happened to them? You know, and so that is a sad thing. You know, with our youth, you know, affecting them. And I mean, you saw the whole thing with Balenciaga coming out. It was just like blatant child pedophilia and the occult. You know, I mean, and they just rebranded it. You know, and then you had like, you know, Disney joining in, which makes me, not that I think all Disney's bad, but I just think like, why would Disney even associate themselves towards children and you know, benefiting kids?
Yeah. What do kids need? What do kids have business with? What's it called? BDSM or whatever.
Yeah.
Why do they need those outfits? That
Yeah.
makes
Why?
zero
That's
sense.
that video that came out, and of course, as soon as that came out, they shut that down because then that was, you know, there was a huge backlash towards it, and so why do they need that stuff? And even the diapers having symbols on them that represent different forms of pedophilia.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, why are you doing that? Well, of course, we know why. You can't like just say, when you have a diaper that comes out with these symbols on it, you can't just say coincidence, because they manufactured it and shopped millions of these things out. So it's like, that's not coincidence. That's someone with an agenda that has gone out there and they're trying to accomplish, you know, they're trying to accomplish something.
Yeah, and that also shows how removed they are from normal society, that they think that that's a good idea, that would work in the world today.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right. They don't. It's like, well, it's a line, you know, there's a line there, you know, and if you were smart and intelligent, and this is what I believe the kingdom of darkness is, they're smart, but their mind is twisted to where they do things and they don't realize what they're doing is actually burying them even more or exposing them anymore. So that kind of shows you there is an intelligence there, because if these beings live thousands of years and they've been around for a long time, there's an intelligence there, but also the intelligence is just so distorted that sometimes you can pull the wool over their eyes. They don't have discernment.
Mhm.
Sometimes they can't see what's really happening, so they can be fooled. You know, why would they send Jesus to the cross? If they really, really knew and understood it, they wouldn't have done that. They'd be like, no, we got to keep off that cross. They would understand. So I just think that's kind of what's going on, you know, right now, you know, spiritually with behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So, and these organizations getting involved in it, like Disney getting involved in it, and then the Balenciaga thing, where it's just blatant something that's going on there, you know, and them being exposed, and you notice as soon as they get exposed, they back way off, you know, when they realize we've stepped over this imaginary line that is there, and they back off. But the fact is what has happened is they're testing how much they can do, and they back off. They test how much they can do, and they back off. So people have to stand up to them, whether you believe in a higher power or not. We can all agree that protecting our children was the thing we have to do.
Right.
We need to protect kids, you know, because that's our future. You know, we don't have a future if we don't have kids, you know.
Mhm.
And the fact that they're trying to destroy that future, you know. So it's sad, you know, seeing that kind of stuff happen with our kids. You know, a lot of us being exposed. Epstein Island, you know, that being exposed, and all those people's names that are on the list. Do I believe all of them did something? No, I don't. But I do think that there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, you know.
Yeah, I saw a video on TikTok. Wasn't looking for anything like it, but it popped up, and it's like one of the most disturbing, bone-chilling things I've heard. It's these guys. I guess they rotate the shipping carriers, giant metal ones.
I think I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
They put them on the boat. Well, there was one that they were going to pick up, I guess, because it was time for it to get on the ship so they could load it or whatever. And they go to open it up to see what was in it, because it looked like it was full with something. and they go to open it up, and there's tons of carcasses in there, just dead baby bodies, like dismembered and everything. And they say the guys that opened it up, they just couldn't stop vomiting and crying, and they were messed up from it. It was messed. I couldn't imagine, and like even like the smell and everything, like it had to be terrible. They said they counted them, and it was close to like 17,000, probably something like that. Just crazy amount.
And the fact that they could even count them.
Yeah, jam packed full.
Sitting
like,
there having
yeah.
all these emotions and jam packed, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nuts.
And then people will see that and think, nothing's going on.
Yeah.
Or not my problem.
Or they don't want to accept that something's going on.
Or maybe they're just so overwhelmed with all this bad stuff. They see the news can just wear you out with negativity, that it's just, you just get this compassion fatigue, and you're just like, I can't do anything about it, so I'm just going to turn the TV off. Well, you can't do anything about thousands, but you can do something about like one, or you can keep your eyes open, and if you see something, you can protect one person,
Right.
Or you can make a difference by not watching. If you think someone's involved in it, don't go to these people's movies. Don't buy their tickets. Don't support them.
Yep.
Don't support this artist that you think might be involved in it. That's the way to do it. That's the way to influence them, put them out of business, There's ways to influence it. But it has to be one person at a time, We all got to do our part in it, But I think we can get compassion fatigue with that. So speaking of the other side, like people say, I don't know what to do about it. Well, you can start with just a little bit at a time. You can help one person. You've helped that one person. You saved that life, and that's a chain reaction, But that's sad, because that's all those people,
Mm-hmm.
all those people,
All those souls
just gone to whatever that these people did to them,
Yep.
Whatever they were used for, gone, 17,000 people that will not be influential in the world at all, will not have a life, will not have a chance, won't experience, won't on earth get to experience, love. Yeah, that's sad. Thanks for sharing that. That is, wow. Dang.
And this was on the news. Like, it was like a news
Yeah.
broadcast thing. It's crazy.
I remember hearing about it. I remember that. I remember going, wow, what the heck?
Yeah.
Well, I remember when, Trump was in office and they busted those shipments of all those kids. I was thousands of kids, and they were in these vans. They live and they
Wow.
freed them, but they were all these kids in these these big group of vehicles. They busted the people, and there was all these kids being transported to somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And some people say, well, maybe they're trying to get them in the country, but there's no AC back there, man. There's none of that. These kids were for a different purpose. I don't think they were trying to be smuggling them in. Where were they going? And they wouldn't tell them where they were going. They were driving somewhere. It's like, nah, these kids, you were never going to see them again, But they saved them. So you do have the situation like that. And then, of course, we may have dove in an earlier video, but spirit cooking, you have that, where you see these artists and they have people's bodies laying there. Now, some of these people, they may actually be dead, some of them, but they're eating food off of these bodies. You have stuff like that, these rituals going on at these parties, these Hollywood parties. I mean, come on. I mean, if you're into that stuff, fine. That's your thing. And if it's just that, we're just eating off someone's dead body, it's part of a cultic practice, no one's actually being harmed, then that's what you believe, fine. But the truth is that people actually are being harmed. And there's been reports that in these things, there's actual dead bodies laying there. There's actual people that they're eating food off of, and the fact that it represents we're eating of this body, it's weird, almost like trying to imitate the body of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
We're eating from someone's body here. So stuff like that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about what was so weird when all this pedophilia was cooking up. Use that term, cooking. When all of it was just starting to build up, Hollywood goes on strike. Just out of the blue.
Yep.
People say, well, they went on strike because they weren't getting, the actors and actresses weren't getting paid so much. It's like, but it's really funny that during the height of the pedophilia, the Epstein Island, starts to go on, Hollywood just decides to we're just going to go on strike for like a year.
Yep.
And we're not going to make any new movies. We're not going to do anything. And I'm thinking probably because I think something was about to happen and it didn't happen. And that stuff is being revealed, and the people involved probably thought, we got to get out of here, man. I think this thing's about to fall.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but it's just strange.
Yep. Definitely strange.
Yeah. I was thinking, oh, we're going on strike now? I mean, why not just keep making movies? Keep yourself out there if you're not guilty, you know?
Yeah. It would make more sense if you weren't committing any crimes.
Yeah.
Criminals hide.
Yeah. Smart criminals, they, you know, it's kind of like, some of these criminals are not very smart, these individuals, because like, if you ever see like people that are in gangs, you're not going to know they're in gangs. Most gang members are not telling you. You might see evidence, but you won't meet someone there like, I'm Johnny and I'm part of the Hells Angels. Or, you know, I'm Johnny and I'm part of this group in another gang in Los Angeles. They're not going to tell you that. They just do what they do and they go about their business, you know? And so I don't think we're dealing with some very intelligent people, because obviously, well, also too, those gangs aren't in the spot like these. I could say that, you know, they aren't in the spot like these actors and actresses. So now we're not saying everybody in Hollywood's done bad things, because there's some certain people that have stood up and some have admitted, hey, it's going on, but I'm trying to stand involved with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then of course what was crazy, you had the Sound of Freedom movie come out,
Mm-hmm.
and Hollywood they rejected it.
Yep.
You know, the first initial company rejected it. So then it had to get produced independently, you know, directed independently. And of course the movie was a huge hit. I think it woke a lot of people up. And right after that came out, then Hollywood goes on strike. I think it was around the same time that was going on. But why would you fight a movie? Why was people trying to fight it so hard, trying to get, this director over here that was totally disassociated from movies, but had an involvement one time. He was involved with children, you know? So why would you try to like shut this movie down if you're trying to help kids and you are who you say? If we're trying to benefit kids, we love children, then why try to shut a movie down that is exposing stuff that's going on?
And it's undeniable. You know it's happening. I mean,
Right.
They have entire branches in police force for it. So why would you try to deny it? That it's not correct.
Like, these people, that's what they would say. They don't. No, this isn't as bad as they're saying, is it? No, it's actually worse than the movie portrays it. The movie only portrays the tip of the iceberg.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I used to, when I worked with at-risk youth, we'd get kids in child trafficking. And it was sad, you know, because they were broken individuals, man. They're messed up, you know. Yeah. But you give them a little bit of love, and they would kind of, you'd see some breakthrough with them. So, I mean, that's what I've been doing. Watched a few videos that says, even though people have gone through significant trauma, if you start giving them love and start getting them the things that they need, they actually form new brain patterns, and they can be fixed and they can be brought back to a place where they can function. But especially like during the first 3 years of someone's life, if you've had a lot of trauma during the first 3 years of your life, you're more likely to have a lot of issues when you get older. So those first 3 years of life are the most important, you know? And so the trauma, I mean, babies would have trauma from things that happened to them in the delivery room, you know? And they wouldn't even be bad things. It'd just be a hospital trauma, you know, and it'd affect them. So, I mean, those first 3 years are really important. So we got the kitty cat over here maybe paying us a visit. We'll see. She's checking out the scenery. She likes to let everybody know she's here. Her name is Ghost. Because she'll disappear in the bushes, you won't be able to see her. So, you know, yeah, the Epstein client list finally got released with all the details. And now, like, as soon as that got released, it's like, let's talk about something else. You know, you would think that if a list like that was being released with all these high profile names, you think if people, even if they're in Hollywood, you think if people be like, well, start trying to talk more about these people. Man, it's like, we got to bury it. We got to bury it. We got to move on to something else. Hey, everybody, look over there. We got the Israel war going on. You know, hey, look over there. We got this war going on. Hey, we got that going. I'm not saying that those things aren't important, but it's just distractions, you know?
Yep.
In your opinion, like, I mean, we've been talking about all these different things. What do you think is like, and it may take you a minute to get the thoughts together about it, but that's okay. What do you think is the biggest distraction that they're doing as far as like an entertainment industry to keep us, that people just they keep falling for? What do you think the biggest distraction is? That people are like, oh, they just keep pulling, it just keeps pulling everybody away from what's really going on.
Well, I mean, politics is huge. We're coming up on an election year. That tends to get a lot of people's attention. I'm not huge into politics, so, but yeah, I think that's probably the biggest. And the investigation going on with Trump, and they keep pushing that to the front.
Which
Yeah,
that blows
stuff
my
like that.
mind. Why would you would even try to put your enemy, take him out of the picture?
Yeah.
You know, whether you're Trump or Biden, that's your choice. It's just looks bad when you try to put your opponent away, you know, regardless while he's you're an election year. But so you think like political stuff?
Yeah,
It's huge.
I think most people pay attention to that. I can't really think of anything else.
How far do you think people would go? How far do you think people could be duped watching TV and stuff like that? How far do you think people would go before they're finally like, nah, I'm not, something's not right? Do you think that you would have a good majority of people being deceived in one way or another?
I think a lot of the younger crowd, I'm not an ageist, but I think a lot of the younger crowd is just, they're more technologically advanced. So they're going to look to social media, internet, everything, versus like someone that's older. They don't really know how to, maneuver through a computer, or they don't have a smartphone, so they're not really looking at all the sources or options, and they're just seeing it through whatever the media tells them on TV, whatever the news tells them. So they're going to be deceived easier, I think.
Yeah, so you think if that was to happen, there'd be this huge age disparity? Not disparity, what's the word? There'd be a huge age gap to where people in this group would believe it, and then everybody else would be like, what do y'all know? There's something going on. Because they're so into technology, so consumed in it.
Yeah, I think that's the pros and cons of technology, the technological advancements that we have.
Especially with AI coming out now. It's like, what's real?
Yep.
They're getting good at it. They're not all the way there. You still something's not quite right, but they're getting really good at it. This artificial intelligence, which is a whole nother thing. But
it's a new way we view the internet.
Yeah. I mean, even Facebook has now, when you want to search for something, uses artificial intelligence to search for things and finds it just, faster than even a second. Just, yeah, politics. And I think that, going springboarding on that a little bit, I think that's why the sayings, especially Jesus said, render unto Caesar what's Caesar. And he didn't focus a lot on the politics of the day. He did know politics and know what was going on and use that sometimes, but he was always focused on another kingdom, and focused on a certain direction, because he knew politics can change, the atmosphere can change, and that does influence people a lot.
Yeah, politics is, in my opinion, it's one of the best things used to separate us.
Absolutely.
Whoever's quote unquote pulling the strings, that's what they use to separate us the most. And they know if they can get us fighting against each other, then
right. Because it's like some people won't even, you could be friends with them, and then all of a sudden, oh, you're Republican. Yeah. You voted for this person. I'm not talking to you anymore. You're a racist. You kill babies, or you do this, or you don't care about individuals or minorities, and you want to, or on the other side, you just free, you let everything go, yeah, you're a Democrat, a Democrat, and that, they put these labels, and the truth is, like, we're all really kind of somewhere in between, like, I think there are people that do lean hard one way and hard the other, and don't have but I think if I have to look at most people, we're all mostly, I think most of us are probably more centrists. You know, we're probably more like in the middle. Like I believe a little bit of that, and I like a little bit of that, and I believe a little bit of this, and I like a little bit of that. And we share both beliefs, but there's, you almost would feel like maybe we should just take the two parties away and vote for the person we think's best, you know, which would be better. Why do we even have one side or the other? Let's just have everybody votes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know our government's set up a certain way, but it doesn't seem like it's beneficial right now because you have so parties at each other, you know. But then politically, sometimes these guys will do one thing on camera and then they're having dinner that night, hanging out with each other. So
Yeah, there's probably a better system. I don't know what it is,
yeah,
but I mean, if it was just up to the people, it would also probably just become a popularity contest versus
it could that
who's
too.
actually better for the job.
Right, it could become that too.
So
Because you've had some people win the popular vote, and we're so glad that they won our presidents. You know, you know. Yep. Yeah, I think politically we are really distracted by that a lot. You know, we get really absorbed in that. I think it does influence us. I don't think it influences us at the moment when someone gets elected or they pass laws. Most of the times it takes a while before the influence is felt, unless the person's a dictator, you know, or some just really not a good person. Then of course we start to feel the effects right away because they start to use the military to their advantage. But I think we really have to live our own lives, but we're so distracted by that politically, so stressed. People get so stressed out about it, upset about it, you know. Oh, is yours gone? A little bit of technical difficulties, but we'll push on through it. We can talk a little louder. So, you know, getting towards the end of this thing, you know, thousands and thousands of children just vanishing, including 30 to 40,000, like I was saying earlier, in CPS custody. Then we talk about endocrine, which is when babies are harvesting babies, and adrenochrome. I said endocrine. We talk about adrenochrome harvesting when they're harvesting babies and stuff like that, and using the blood of those babies to you know, influence. I mean, they're taking the blood and taking it and getting a high off of it, you know, stuff like that. That goes into the sickness of that. So we talked about a lot of stuff. We have a lot of information on here too. This probably be the longest video that I've done, and I'm glad Enoch's along with me. We hope to probably maybe do a group session. We maybe look at that and have several of us here. That'll be a good one, which I'm sure it'll be very entertaining. Yeah. Lots of opinions, lots of wild opinions.
A lot of personalities, different personalities.
Yes, a lot of personalities. I think the one thing is cool about the groups that the people that we hang out with is, and I was talking about to another friend of mine about it, is we're so different. Like a lot of us are so different in the way but we have a lot of similarities, and that a lot of us just accept people for who they are, and we don't really see color. We don't really see, you know, people may have different beliefs, but we still try to get along with those people.
Try to be peacemakers.
Try to be at peace with people, you know, as much as we can. But a lot of stuff we're just, you know, challenging you to think about it, challenging you to just be, you know, keep your eyes open, you know, to what's going on, to things that are going on behind the scenes. All right, Enoch, as we're finishing this off, just going to hand it back to you, man.
Yeah, as far as what I would want someone to get out of this video, if anything, just to know that no matter what crazy stuff is going on in the world, no matter if you've been abused or taken advantage of, or you have trauma or anything like that, just know that you can lean on Jesus and trust in him, and know that he'll be there for you. He'll protect you from all kinds of danger that you might not even see, or or you might not know about. And yeah, just trust in him. He'll be with you. He'll never leave you or forsake you. So
I agree. Well, thank you, Enoch. Man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you being here. And we hope, like Enoch said, that this video, that you watch it and it influences you, plants a seed in your heart, and hope that you've enjoyed it. And we will see you next time. God bless.